Okay, as people join us, I will go ahead and start the presentation. I see some familiar faces and names, but for those of you that have not interacted with me over the years, I will start by introducing myself. My name is Simona Balazs, and I am the research director for CEDIK. Becca is my colleague, and she apologizes for not being able to join today's call. She is fighting off one of the bugs going around and is not feeling her best. So welcome to the last session of the three-part series that we hosted in collaboration with the KED. Today's session is going to be on the county data profiles, and not only, but other type of data that we at CEDIK have access to and we provide for free to communities around Kentucky. Throughout the session, I will share the screen. If you have questions, you can type them in the chat as I go, and feel free to interrupt me, or we can talk at the end. Also, I've already placed a link to the county data profiles if you want to access those directly, and my email address in the chat just for further contact. And before I start sharing the screen, I would like to mention that we are currently in the process of updating our profile. So the data you're going to see is a little bit older, depending on what was available when we did the last iteration of updates. It might be 2019, but in some cases, it might even be 2017. So we are right now working on updating most of the profiles to 2021, 2022 numbers, depending on what's available for every metric. Why do I say most of the profiles? Because there are some that we can only update every 5 years. For example, the ag profile. That one uses mainly census of ag data, and that survey is administered every 5 years. The last round of surveys was in 2017. The current one, 2022, is still undergoing, and usually it takes USDA about a year and a few months to release those data at the county level. So for the next year, for sure, we will still have 2017 census of ag data available on our ag profile. So with that, I will start sharing the screen and go navigate to our website. And I want to make sure that I have the chat available so I can see questions as they come. So to access our county data profile is fairly easy, just by either using the link that I provided in the chat or just by typing in I would like to type, sorry, technology sometimes. Just typing in CEDIK, usually it's going to bring up our website is going to be one of the main websites as you type in CEDIK, and you can either go to the main web page or directly to the county data profiles. So it's not difficult to access them. For example, if we go to county data profiles, it's going to lead you directly to the landing page. Or if you just type in CEDIK and you see this main page, one of the tabs above is going to be for the county data profiles. We started creating these profiles about 10 years ago, not all of them. We started with the economic profile and the ag and food one, and then we added the other ones in time. At a moment when there weren't that many websites offering this 1 or 2 pages snapshots of data. We continue to offer them because we subscribe to different proprietary data that allow us to update them to more current numbers that some of the public data websites offer. So for example, census for county level data tends to be 1 year or 2 years behind what we can get from one of the proprietary data sources that we use, which is Chimura or JobsEQ. So this allows us to keep them a little bit more recent once we run the updates. And I will start with probably looking at the digital divide. And the reason why I'm going to open the digital divide first is because this one, unlike all the other ones, is not interactive. We receive the data from we receive actually the profiles as PDFs from Purdue Center for Regional Development. They are the ones that are generating the digital divide index and the components of the profile. So just randomly, let's say we're looking at their county, right? So the digital profile will have data on the digital divide score with a little bit of information on what the score means. And then the two other indexes or the scores that actually are part of the index overall. So one of them is the infrastructure or adoption score, which looks at broadband and internet access. And within that one, you have the metrics that they include in the score, as well as the values for the county. And then the other component of the digital divide index is the socioeconomic score. And similar with the infrastructure and adoption score, underneath you have the metrics that they include in the score and the values specific for the county. This is 2017. They have 2019 for sure. Probably by the time we will release, hopefully they will have 2020 on the website. So then we can have the 2020 numbers updated. So this is one of the profiles that is visible as a PDF directly. All the other ones are interactive. And I will probably open the county budget one. It doesn't really matter which one. They all follow a similar organization on the website. On the upper part of the web page, you have information about what the profile includes, definitely a link to the definition of the data. And then if necessary, additional information. In this case, because people are not very familiar with the county budget and NOAA and FEMA, how they necessarily measure or report things, we also prepare the white paper that provides a little bit more details about how the things are measured and what exactly gets reported by those agencies. Within each profile, there are going to be, and I apologize, I keep moving the chat box to make room for the screen. Within each profile, we select 5 or 6 topics or subtopics if you want. We try to limit or provide a little bit of a snapshot on what's going on from that team for the county. However, with that being said, if we do top 5, keep in mind that we have all the data, right? So let's say that you are interested in a specific revenue source, or you're interested in this particular case, or in further details on disaster indicators, we have more than what we provide on these profiles for every county. So you can just email me, send me an email as you work on grant applications or reports, or you just need data. You can easily send me an email and just ask if we can send you the data, and we normally provide this for free to communities. Within every profile, you can select the county, right? So out there, let's say we go to Anderson, and as you select the county, the data that pertains to the county will change. The one that is for the state will stay the same, right? And then at the base of the profile, you have a map Each map is interactive in its own. So underneath each map, you can actually select different indicators. So number of floods, the change in claims and receipts, which is revenues and expenditures over the 10 years. So 2008 to 2018 percent change. So let's say, right? And then if you're interested just in the number of floods, the map will change as you change the options under the map indicator. One thing probably to keep in mind, all these profiles can be downloaded. So at the base or the bottom of the profile or the screen, you have download option, and they can be downloaded as an image, PDF, or PowerPoint. So I'm just going to go ahead and do a PDF. All right, so this is how it would look as a PDF, a one-page PDF. And one thing to keep in mind for the map particularly is that the map is going to download with the display it's being set to. So for example, if you're not interested in the number of floods, then you would have to go and set the map to FEMA disasters, declaration disasters, if this is one thing that you're interested in. For the future, we will try to allow for the map to be downloaded separately as well as a visual. So for example, if you want two maps, not just the one with FEMA disaster, but also the one with floods, then you can download the PDF itself and additional just the map of the floods. So you don't have to constantly download the upper part of the profile with every map that you are interested in. We provide the maps because they allow us to compare a little bit the county that we're interested in, or the main focus of the profile, with some of the surrounding counties or what goes on in the rest of the state. And we provide these maps or map option within almost every profile on the website. And then at the base of the profile, we generally list the data sources. And the links are usually interactive also. So if you click on one of the links, for example, FEMA, it's going to lead you directly to the FEMA webpage, and you can gather more information than what we provide. And as I mentioned, if it's something that is not on the profile, but you want it, just send me an email, and most likely we have the data already downloaded. We just don't necessarily use it for the profile. We are trying to keep them as clean as possible or as simple as possible. Oh, by floods, it's number of flooding events. It's the FEMA presidential declared flood event, yes. So it has to be above a certain, I don't know if everybody can see the question on floods in the chat. Yeah, so it has to be declared. It has to be above a certain level of damage to be counted as a flood in the way we report the data. We are using the FEMA counting. They do have them disaggregated as well, so we can download that data as well, but we tend to look at the presidential declared events, yes. Yes, that's a good point. We do explain that in the, or at least I hope we do, in the definition of data, but yeah, it's a very good point. Thank you. Any other questions on this particular one? And I'm going to actually hover a little bit so you guys can see if you have any other questions. The county revenues and expenditures are from the Department of Local Government, and they are for the fiscal year. And the updated one will have the 2021 fiscal year numbers. So then we will move the 10-year difference to 2011, 2021. Okay, so if there are no other, and thank you for the recommendation of changing the wording and being a little bit more specific. Sometimes for, I don't know, we think too much of the space, but you are correct. It's a very good point. Another profile that gets a lot of traffic for us is the economic one. And I'm just going to open it. And again, the look is going to be somewhat familiar in the sense that we have the location, the choice of county data. For this one, we have the ADDs. For the other ones, we don't have them available, but we can aggregate the counties to the ADD level separately. The order of updating the profiles, because to address the question is the housing, the county budget, followed by workforce and economic one in January. So the housing and the county budget before Christmas, workforce and economic one in January, and then small business and the healthcare in February, where again, we are not going to update agriculture, ag and food yet, just because that data is not available. And then the digital divide will probably depend on when we receive them from Purdue, probably January or February. I don't know if you guys subscribe to our newsletter. If not, I can have Becca send you an email when we release them, or if you subscribe to our newsletter, then you will receive a notification as they get released. And if you follow us on all the social media or on any of the social media platforms, you will also see notifications as they get released. So the economic profile, January, probably early January, before mid-January, really immediately after the holidays. And then followed shortly after by the workforce one, just because we pull data from the same data source for this too. So it's easy to download everything as we work on them. So I'm just going to, again, randomly select another location, go for Anderson County. And as I mentioned, right, top 5 are presented, but we have access to all the industries. And we go as far as 6-digit NAICS codes as in terms of disaggregation. So if you need more disaggregated data than this, just send me an email and we can send it to you. And then indicators or metrics that are not necessarily presented or included in the website, on the website or in the profile. Is everybody familiar with the location quotient? I think so. So we provide this information, and then of course the industries measure the number of jobs. So if you have a person that within a quarter works 2 jobs, that person is going to be counted twice. This is how the BLS is measuring through queues. So that's one thing to keep in mind. And it's also different than thinking in terms of workforce, right? You might have residents working in the manufacturing industry, and that number higher than the number of jobs in the county, in the industry, because it counts number of people that works in the county and outside of the county, right? So there's 2 ways of looking at employment, from the residents' perspective and from the industry within the county perspective. And what we report is the number of jobs in that industry in the county, regardless of where people are living. And I think I lost my chat. There you go. Brought it back. Okay, so for the job overview, it's just some total jobs by different years and percent change. So it kind of provides a little bit of a trend, but we can also send you guys the year by year data if you want it for a trend line like this, similar to this, rather than just the value on the in the profile. And the same with the map, right? We have the unemployment rate, but then you can select other indicators if you're interested in labor income. Count of migrated data is something that Tableau generates, and it's just the count of variables. It's really not a measure. And I will try to delete that one, but it gets generated automatically by the online version, and sometimes it carries through in the profile. And the same with the previous profile. At the end or at the bottom of the page or the screen, you can download. And above, you will have the definition of the data for this particular one, what years we are using, what the metric or the indicator means, which is fairly intuitive. We are not complicated what we are measuring, and we are not creating on the profiles scores and stuff like that, which brings me to a side point. We are working on a quality of life web page that includes some metrics that are typically within the quality of life measures. So those will be probably released towards late spring. And if you are interested, that's something to keep in mind. Right, so the data it's quarterly available to us. However, because we are using Chimura JobsEQ, let me see if I actually use one of the other websites. I don't know how familiar you guys are with the JobsEQ, but right, so they provide a lot of the information that BLS and census provide. They fill in the gaps, because we know, especially on the census side, there are a lot of undisclosed issues, and they clean up the data and organize it in a way that it's easy for us to download and access. So it is available quarterly. However, because of the 2020 year, they took a little bit longer to, oops, I accidentally stopped sharing the screen. Go back and sharing. They took a little bit longer in providing the 2021 numbers and 22 numbers, especially on the social demographic indicators. So for, I think, almost the entire last year, they would still have the 2019 numbers on the social demographic side, just because of the way things were measured in 2020 and with the way things unfolded in 2020. We have the option to download with taking into account 2020 or without it, meaning that taking into account the deep drop or closings and loss in employment for temporary, or estimating as if that didn't happen, right, numbers. For the profile itself, we are skipping and we're going directly to 2021 and 2022 numbers. Just because, but we do have that. So if you guys are interested in seeing what happened and then what if COVID wouldn't have happened and you want to make a comparison, we have access to that data we can download, taking that into account. Okay. On the healthcare side, we look at things in terms of, again, employment within the industry. And then some of the healthcare indicators, measures. However, we don't dive deep into these health indicators because the county health rankings provides is a very good source for that. And I'm going to open the county health rankings. Where is employment by NAICS codes and wages and stuff. That's something that is not very much available out there, except for BLS, and BLS has not made it very easy to download yet. They still, they don't have that interactive web page, landing web page yet. You still have to dig through several web pages to get to the information. So we try to, particularly for the healthcare, we try to pull up those numbers and just provide them. But that being said, I don't know if you guys are familiar with the county health rankings. They do provide a lot of health data, and I'm just going to search one of the counties again. And let's go to Adair, Kentucky. Right, so they have health outcomes, factors, a lot more data than we would include in the profile. And we have this data available. So if you're interested in, for any of the projects or grants, if you need to, if you need access to any of this data, we have them downloaded for 2008, 2021. Any questions on this one? If not, then I will just open the housing. I'm going to open most of them just so you guys can see what's in the actual profile. So the housing one looks at housing characteristics, owner versus renter, vacant. Then what's projected, the year built, and then some characteristics for owner occupied and renter occupied. We also try to envision a way to think in terms of what's affordable and what's not, right? If we think in terms of income and housing value, and we try to get a sense at that through this particular part or portion of the housing profile by comparing household income with housing value to see if they follow a similar trend, or you have house value higher than what people can actually afford. And this one, as you notice, it's a little bit more data heavy, doesn't have the map at the end. We do have mapping capacity. We are using business analysts to generate maps. So almost everything that you think in terms of BLS or census, in terms of data, we can map those out at county level. So again, if you are, we are here basically to help all the groups and subgroups in Kentucky. So, and we've been doing that for years now. So whenever you need something, you can always reach out, and we are more than happy to send you what you need in addition to what we provide already on the website. So I'm just going to quickly open this ones, not talk much about them. Obviously, the retail sector focuses on the state of the retail industry. Small businesses looks at small businesses, businesses as defined as businesses with less than 500 employees. And then the workforce one looks at workforce by education, gender, what are top occupations within the county, average earnings, and then also at commuting patterns, right? In commuters, out commuters, what are the top counties that people tend to commute to for work? And then earnings. An interesting part about the earnings is the fact that you can see if people that are leaving your county to work outside of the county are those high earners or low earners, right? And vice versa. Who are you attracting, high earners or lower wages? And this can be very useful for strategies, development strategies. If you are interested in attracting or retaining some of that workforce that are high earners and that goes to work outside of the county, then figuring out strategies to developing higher paying jobs rather than lower paying jobs. That's one of the strategies that can be planned for. So aside from this ones, we are always looking at feedback from folks on themes that they would be interested to see. Right? And I will give you an example. Some of the things that we are hearing lately is profile on tourism, right? So as you do your jobs and you in your daily work, if you come across over things that you wish you would have access to data that is a little bit more organized, just let us know. We are always willing to improve and add and build upon on our website and what we provide to groups. As I said, we subscribe to a lot of proprietary data. We have access to not just Shimura, JobSEQ for the economic data, but we also subscribe to Business Analyst, which provides a lot on the housing and business locations and employment, and tapestry segmentation is one of the things. I don't know if you are familiar with it, but it's something that Esri, I'm just going to open segmentation. It's actually, let's see if we can do PDF. Esri. I just want to open one of the reports, their reports, so you can see how it looks like. Now our visual is not going to look like that, but the idea is that Esri, which is the company that provides business analysts, also creates this tapestry segments on consumers' spending patterns, right? So you have information on total population, but then also for different affluent states, right? So they have this uptown individuals, family landscape, Gen X, urban. So they have certain characteristics that they identify within a population based on their spending patterns. And we have access to the data. So if you're interested, again, this can be useful for development strategies, knowing not just your workforce, but also kind of like how the county population, the tapestry of the county population, right? If you have a lot of seniors versus a lot of, and what are those characteristics? If you have a lot of millennials, and what are their characteristics? So it's an interesting data point that we do have access to. We don't provide it as a profile, but we have access to the data if you're interested in that. Okay. I think I will probably stop sharing for now at least. And then if you have questions, just feel free to unmute yourselves and we can talk about data and other stuff that we have access to. And one other note, as you look at the profiles and you use them, if you want an addition metric added to it, again, just send us an email and we will see what we can do. Because sometimes we try not to duplicate what other agencies are doing. We do overlap with certain things. So with keeping that in mind, we chose certain indicators for the profiles, but we have access to more and we are willing to actually add information to the profiles or replace some of the information that is easier to access some other places. We constantly revise not just the profiles, but also the content. And we welcome feedback. If there are no other questions, then I would say thank you for joining me. And I hope that you found those profiles useful. And as I said, we are in the process of updating them. By mid-March and March, all of them will be updated to 2021, 2022. Thank you, everyone. And thank you for joining today.